What's up guys, Shay Stevens here, PDGA number 77522, and I'm at Mercer County Park Disc Golf Course in West Windsor Township, New Jersey. This is the back nine of my casual round. If you haven't already, go check out my front nine coverage. Let's pick up the action on hole 10. Hole 10 is a par 4 at 610 feet. This is a really fun shot off the tee. There are two gaps, but as you can see here, the trees on the right and the middle have been growing in, so that right side gap is pretty tight. So the smart play is to take a stable disc on an anhyzer over those pine trees on the left and just let it work back to the fairway. I really like the throw out of my hand. Unfortunately, I really underestimated the headwind. I did push the disc out further than usual, letting it ride, but the wind really just slams me down. And as you can see, I'm usually up by that tree in the middle, but I'm like tucked on the right-hand side behind this rough. I really like throwing a hyzer shot into this green, but that's not an option. So I'm going to take a fission volt here, do a little bit of an S-flight. And I really like it, but I get to that last tree and just don't beat it. So I'm kicked off to the right side here. It's a long look, and I'm also dealing with some vegetation on this putt. Yeah, I looked at my stance. It wasn't really much for a putt, so with a little backhand, patent pending. Give it a floaty run. Gonna fast forward my dejected walking. I really like the birdie this hole, but take a par. Hole 11 is a par 3 at 185 feet. There is a long tee on this hole, but it's a fly pad and there's no signage yet, so I played the short permanent tee just because I wanted to do an ace run. So I'm doing my traditional play here of a turnover Electron Envy. And I forget about the headwind that I should totally know about from the last hole and just short this putt horribly. I should have also thrown a forehand entropy since that's the shot I'm working on and that's perfectly shaped, but just had to avoid the groundhog holes all over this green and sink the putt for birdie. Hole 12 is a par 4 at 600 feet from the long tee. This is a newer position. It's back along the wood line of the course. So you'll see the fairway is pretty traditional. It goes straight up and then bends to the left and goes across the field. This is the only hole on the course, I believe, with two basket positions. I'm playing to the longer one. There is actually an over-the-top shot to the left that I see a lot of people take, but I don't like that if your shot stalls out, you're coming down on the tee of 11, so I frown upon taking that one. Although I'm thinking about it now after what happened. Unfortunately, this bush that defines the short tee pad fairway and the long tee pad fairway just gobbled up my disc. Again, that basket to the right is the short basket. I'm going past that, and I initially wanted to go big for a hero shot, but I realized it wasn't worth it, so I just throw my flippy photon, just get it out into the open so I have a clean look at the basket. I'm going to step up and smooth an Electron Entropy. Gave the basket a decent run, actually. I was happy with it. It hits and digs nicely, so I trot on up there and not get my par putt. Hole 13 is a par 3 at 310 feet. I think it's my second favorite hole in the course. It just has some variety in the shot. You can throw through that gap in the middle, or you can attack from above with like a flex line or a hyzer, and that's usually my play. I like to throw the hyzer out over the right side rough. It feels dangerous, but as long as you don't, turn something flippy over or throw low into the bush right in front of you, it's a pretty safe shot and it just feels cool. Out of my hand, I really like it, but the tailwind does stable the disc up and makes it hyzer a bit sooner than I would like. So, I actually skip into this bush, and it's just so thick and nasty, it took me 5 minutes to find. And even when I found it, I had trouble finding it again. So, I have a group actually on the tee behind me, so I just stick my leg in there, get it all nice and itchy, and flick out. Shout out to Brian Blockington, who I believe the very next day came out and cleaned up all the nasty stinging vine and nettle and saved people from my trouble. So, I'm going to be taking a par and going to have a really itchy leg for the rest of the day. Hole 14 is a 405-foot par 3, and on this tee, the wind is so obvious, even I can't miss it. It's usually swirling, which it was today. There's an OB road on the right. The rough on the left is pretty thick. I'm not messing around. I'm just taking my max weight fission photon, just cranking it low. If I get inside the circle for a putt, yay. If not, I'm happy with a par. So I come into my shot, and Towards the end of circle 2, I'm just going to take my electron entropy, float it up there, give it a nice little run, but nothing special. And again, I'm really liking that disc just because of how it sits. Doesn't really sail too far past the basket, it stays inside my comfort range. And I knock it home for the par. Okay, so hole 15, I kind of messed up and forgot to record my drive, so we're going to make do. Here's a picture from the tee pad. The shot goes straight, bends a little to the right gradually, then straightens out again. So this really shapes well for that right-hand, backhand turnover. Really like this hole. So boom, here's me on the tee pad. I'm happy. I like this hole. It's really pretty. I grab my fission photon, the maroon one. You know how I do. I let it go. Whoosh. Turns over. It's looking really pretty. It's going to hit the gap. It's going to be an amazing drive. Boom. Oh no. I hit the tree on the left. I'm really sad now. Okay, now back to the actual coverage. So I've kicked into this left side fairway. I'm going to look to throw a forehand with my relay since it shapes really nicely for this shot. My only concern is I do want to give it enough air because this grass is really grabby. There will be no skip. And unfortunately I go a little too high and tickle some leaves and it does knock me down short. I'm inside the circle, but definitely left some meat on the bone. So I'm out by circle's edge. Stretch it out, get comfortable. Take my time, and knock it down. And I'm pumped for that putt. It was a good one. Hole 16 long is sponsored by a real jerk, let me tell you. It also has a new pin position down and to the right. So this one does have 2 pin positions, although I don't recall ever seeing 2 baskets on this one. It's probably happened before, I just haven't seen it. My play is usually a relay, but that flirts with the right side rough a bit too much, so I'm trying a fission volt here and turning it over. And I like the flight of it. I was just a little bit too low. So I'm going to try it again later, see if it works. Because I really like to slide in here, because you can see this basket is evil. It's perched up with basically 5 tree trunks around it, so I just pitch up to the open side. I'm not messing around with a 10-foot block putt. So, relatively stress-free par. Also, shout out to all my fellow short people who need steps to get discs out of elevated baskets. We need some more lower baskets, IMO. Hole 17 long does not have a tee sign, but I really needed to practice it. So it basically has 2 lines, a wide hyzer to the right and the direct gap up the middle, the danger being the thick left side rough. I'm going to take my Maxway Fission Photon through the middle gap just to see how this works out for me. Felt really good, nice and smooth. And I end up around circle's edge. I don't know if I hit this tree or not to slow me down, but I do have that second tree in my lie, so I'm trying to get as much to the right as possible so I can have a clean run of the basket. And I kind of just flopped that putt up. It wasn't really a good run, so I practiced a straddle out just to see was that a smarter play. Overcompensate, but I think next time I will try the straddle just to have a more comfortable swing. And I'm just going to tap out my par. And then make myself bend down to pick another disc up because I'm stupid. This is the old graphic for 18's tee. I do believe it has changed. I think the tee pad has been moved to the right and further back. So we have the OB road on the right, thick wooded rough on the left, and I think the basket's about 340, I'd say. The wind is swirling, but I really want to get a birdie here, so I'm going to take my Fission Photon, throw it on a bit of a flex line, try and get there for an easy putt. So it felt good. Unfortunately, I didn't put this out nearly as far to the left as I wanted to. I was probably 15 feet or so off my line. Comes back in bounds, but I am in that high grass on the right-hand side with a long putt. Do my stretches, step up, and ride the wind. And just how I said, that's how you end a round. Thank you for watching the back nine of my casual round at Mercer County Park Disc Golf Course. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I will be doing a giveaway at 100 subscribers and we're getting close. And as always, thank you to my sponsor. For all your disc golf needs, check out Bria Disc Golf.